the show tonight. I'll follow your lead.
I'm running the show.
You're running the show tonight. Yep. I'm just I'll do what I'm told.
You're the reader.
Yeah, I'm the reader at the appointed time. That's correct. I will wait for your signal.
Yeah. Well, I just want to first say welcome. Welcome to Lives of the Saints. Tonight is a special episode. Jeremy forwarded me a presentation from St. Photios. It's a seminary, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And one of the nuns did a presentation on these 4 Anglo-Saxon kings in the, what is that?
Like the 7th century? I thought it was like the 600s.
Yeah, the 600s.
So the 7th century, yeah.
Actually, I think St. Edwin is born in the 6th century.
Okay.
500s. And she did such a good job, and it was just so inspirational that we thought we would tackle them tonight too. So we'll just wait a little bit till people arrive. And Jeremy can tell us how exciting his life is.
Oh boy. Well, so it's the second week of Great Lent. Last week is Clean Week. It's the first week, and it's very intense. There's a lot of services. Like basically every night last week there was services.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of prostrations in every service, but it's very beautiful because the church is all dark. This is another reason I'm anti daylight saving time, because the time changed on Sunday, and now the services are
in the light,
which is not as exciting to me. But I'm grateful for the services, so I'll stop complaining. But
isn't this though the real time?
No.
We were in the real time.
We were in standard time. Now we're in daylight saving time. Now we're in my least favorite time, because I'm a morning person, and so
me too.
This time is really hard for me, because also I'm very light sensitive, and it's hard for me to go to sleep when it's light outside. Although I did get a sleep mask, so it's less of a problem now.
Yeah. But
it used to be really hard, so I would end up staying up too late, and then I had to get up super early for work, and that's a trigger for mania for some of us.
Yeah, it is.
Not super fun.
No.
After about a week of that, then what happens is you start figuring out how the universe works. And you start telling everyone around you how it works.
Yeah. Oh God.
And it's not very fun for them.
Yeah, I've been told by friends who have bipolar that the summer is the worst time for them.
Yeah, it is. It's
and
hard.
I have to say, like, I'm not bipolar, but I do the best in the fall, winter, early spring, and then summer, because I too like to go to bed early, get up early.
Yeah.
It's just my natural rhythm.
Yeah, me too. So, yeah.
And I can't really go to bed early when the sun is shining.
It's hard. Yeah. I did get a sleep mask, and I love it. It helps so much.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference.
I've heard that it does.
It helps a lot. Yeah. And for me, like I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2, but it's like really mild, and it was just like, okay, it's only been a problem like a couple of times in my life. But really, for me, it's about sleep management. If I manage my sleep, then it doesn't show up.
No problems. Yeah.
But that was a while ago too. It was like 10 years ago. So, but ever since then, I just learned good sleep hygiene, and that's basically not been a problem.
Yeah.
But every week after daylight saving time, I definitely flirt with it. I definitely can feel it.
Yeah.
Starting to come on, and you're like, oh no, I got to go to sleep.
So, what's your weather doing? Is it warming up there?
It is. It's warming up. Yeah. We had a lot of rain. We had like snow rain, but it wouldn't stick. Like it would snow, but it wouldn't stick on the roads. Yeah. It would snow like an inch, but none on the roads, and then it would be melted the next day. And then we had quite a bit of rain. We had like a 2-day rainstorm, and now it's like today was 65. It's great, which I don't know what that is in Freemason units, but it's really nice. I'll look it up. In
units. It's probably like 10.
18.
What? 18?
It was 18 today. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah.
No, we had a high of -3. I mean +3.
Oh, okay. So it's
And
still pretty chilly up there.
yesterday, was it yesterday? Day before, we had a blizzard. This morning when I left for town, it was snowing again.
Mm.
And yeah, it's supposed to get down to -11 in a couple nights, and then it's going to climb back. So
okay. Yeah, it looks like a nuclear winter outside your window out there.
Well, those are my blinds. I've got.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, it's just too much light in backlight, so
Yeah.
I had to close them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we could get started.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody commenting. Everyone must be at their church services for Great Lent. Glory to God.
We've got 5 people watching.
Okay.
According
Welcome.
to my little monitor here.
We're glad you're here. Thanks for being with us. We're sorry
Yeah.
that you're not at services for Great Lent. We don't have any services tonight at my church. So
Yeah. I have no services either. So I've just been doing lots of prayers of repentance and things like that on my own.
do you know about the St. Ephraim prayer for Great Lent?
I prayed it.
Oh, good. Glory to
I
God.
found it. Yes. If you want to get technical, Jan God.
Well, Jan God, as far as I know, no. Sleet is that stuff that looks like styrofoam that like bounces off
That's
the
hail.
ground.
That's hail.
No, hail doesn't bounce. Or no, hail does bounce and sleet doesn't bounce, but it looks like styrofoam.
To me, snow rain is sleet.
Nah.
But anyway, I also
it snowed, but it was
temperature in Freemason units. So
yeah. We don't.
Straight from the pit.
Yeah, you've been propaganda. So much.
Okay, well, I thought we would. Okay, people are just joining, so
good.
We're doing a fun episode tonight, guys. We're gonna do Saint Edwin and Saint Oswald, and hello. And I dressed up in my medieval dress that I bought in Switzerland at a medieval festival, which was
nice.
just a bomb.
I've actually been watching yodeling videos all week. I don't know why.
Yodeling. It must be
I kind of got into it. I was like, actually, I really like this. This is great. I've been listening to all kinds of men and women doing yodeling. It's awesome.
Just like all kinds of yodeling, like American
yodeling? Yeah, Swiss and German mainly. You know, I saw the lady, the Von Trapp mom was teaching Julie Andrews how to yodel.
Oh, wow.
That was amazing. That was great. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, the Swiss wouldn't consider the Austrians able to yodel, but that's normal.
Well, yeah, right. That's how it goes.
Probably it goes the other way too. So I was thinking, Jeremy, you could do the readings from probably the OCA website, right?
Yeah, that's what I have pulled up.
Okay, and then we'll just have fun exploring some of the context of these guys' lives.
Great. Okay, well then I will share my screen, and we will start with Saint Edwin.
What's fascinating to me about Saint Edwin and Saint Oswald, and there are 2 others as well that we want to try to tackle at some point.
Yeah, we can do it next week. It's fine with me.
Is that they're so early, and they're in the British Isles, you know. So it's kind of a fascinating. The Celtic saints fascinate me because they're so cut off from, you know, I don't know, what would you call that? Like the origins of Christianity or something to that.
Yeah, definitely it was its own thread that grew until the Normans came along. And that's who we talk about next week, was the last Orthodox saint, Saint Edward the Confessor, the last Orthodox king of England. And it fell to the Normans, and then the Normans came in and turned it all Catholic. So, yeah, So anyway, yeah, no, it was its own thread, but it was very pious and just hugely pervasive through the culture, completely transformed the culture, and there were monasteries all over England.
Right.
And when the Danes came in, they kind of integrated with it. I mean, they were standoffish for a while, but slowly began to
Well,
assimilate.
their stories are not that far off from the gospel. So
Yeah.
that's all I can say.
Well, Richard Rowland makes the case that Beowulf was written by by a Christian monk,
Yeah.
but it's not recognized by modern scholarship because modern scholarship's not really familiar with like the Enochian tradition.
Right. I'm
So,
also going to read a little bit of this. I'll just for fun. This is the Saxon Gospel, the
oh,
Helian,
nice.
and yeah. So
That
thought we'd
sounds fun. This is
do
great.
that a little bit.
Okay, we'll start with Saint Edwin, king and martyr. Saint Edwin was the son of Allah, king of Dara, and was born around 584. When his father died, Edwin was cheated out of his kingdom by King Ethelred of Bernicia, who united Bernicia and Dara into a single kingdom of Northumbria. And that's kind of where Scotland is now today, and northern England. Edwin fled to East Anglia and took refuge with King Redwald. Redwald, because of the threats and promises he had received, was persuaded to give Edwin up to his enemies. Edwin was warned by a friend of the danger he faced. That night, a stranger promised that his kingdom would be restored to him if Edwin would do as he taught him. Edwin agreed, and the stranger laid his hand on Edwin's head, telling him to remember the gesture. In time, Edwin became ruler of the entire north of England, and by force of arms, obliged the other kings to acknowledge him as sovereign. He married Ethelberga, the daughter of Saint Ethelbert, the first Christian king in England. Ethelberga was also the sister of King Ealbald of Kent. There was an attempt on Edwin's life in 626 on the eve of Pascha. That night, the queen gave birth to a baby girl, and King Quickhelm of the West Saxons sent an assassin named Eomer to kill Edwin with a poisoned dagger. Eomer was admitted to Edwin's presence and tried to stab him. He would have succeeded if it had not been for Lilla, King Edwin's faithful minister, who placed himself between the king and the assassin. The blade passed through his body, however, and wounded the king. The assassin was killed, and Lilla saved Edwin's life at the cost of his own. This event is commemorated by a stone cross which stands on Lilla Howe, near Flyingdale's ballistic missile early warning system on the North Yorkshire moors. Before the Pickering-Whitby Road was built in 1759, this cross served as a guide for those who walked across the moors from Robin Hood's Bay to Saltergate. Edwin thanked his gods that he had been spared, but he was told by Bishop Paulinus of York that he had been saved by the prayers of his queen. The bishop said that he should show his gratitude to the true God by allowing his newborn daughter to be baptized. The child was baptized on Pentecost and was given the name Eanfleda. The king, who had been slightly wounded in the attack, promised Bishop Paulinus that he would become a Christian if he were restored to health, and if he would triumph over those who conspired to kill him. As soon as his wound healed, King Edwin marched against the king of the West Saxons with an army. He vanquished the opposing army, killing or capturing those involved in the plot against him. He no longer followed the pagan religion, but he put off his promise to embrace Christianity, and it was many years before Edwin converted. He would sit alone for hours trying to decide which religion he would follow. St. Paulinus, informed by a revelation about the stranger's promise to the king, went to Edwin and laid his hand upon his head. "Do you remember this gesture?" he asked. The king trembled with astonishment and would have fallen at the bishop's feet. St. Paulinus gently raised him up and said, "You see that God has delivered you from your enemies. Moreover, he offers you his everlasting kingdom. See that you fulfill your promise to become a Christian and keep the commandments of God." King Edwin said that he would seek the counsel of his advisors and urge them to convert with him. He asked them what he should do. Coifi, a pagan priest, said that it was readily apparent that their gods had no power. Another person said that this brief life was inconsequential compared to eternity. St. Paulinus addressed the gathering, and when he had finished, Coifi told the king that the altars and temples of their false gods should be burned. The king asked him who should be the first one to profane them. Coifi replied that he should be the first, since he had been foremost in leading their worship. The chief priest of the pagans was not permitted to bear arms or ride a horse. It was customary that he ride a mare. Coifi, however, asked for a horse and for arms. Mounted on the king's own horse, Coifi threw a spear into their temple, commanding the others to pull it down and set it afire. This place was not far from York and today is known as Godmanham. In 627, the 11th year of his reign, St. Edwin was baptized by St. Paulinus of York in the wooden church of St. Peter. St. Edwin began the construction of a new stone church, which was completed by his successor, St. Oswald. St. Edwin ruled his kingdom in peace for 6 more years and continued to practice and promote Christianity. He was killed in a battle with Penda of Mercia and Cadwalla of Wales in 633 when he was 48 years old, at a place now known as Hatfield. St. Edwin's body was buried at Whitby, but his head was buried at York in the church he had built. Most of the early English calendars list St. Edwin as a martyr. After the death of St. Edwin, his wife, St. Ethelberga, returned to Kent, where she became the abbess of a monastery which she founded in Leminge. There's
Okay.
St.
Do we want to look at some of the context for St. Edwin first, or do we want to do
Sure.
St. Oswald?
No, that sounds good.
I'm just going to check my tabs here and find which one. Okay, I thought maybe this one first. All right, let me go. Where am I? StreamYard. Oh no, I've lost you.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, here I am. I was going to find you anymore. Share screen. This one. So this is, and just gives some context for. Let me see. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. How do I do that?
Hold down Control and use your mouse wheel, and you can make stuff bigger and smaller. Do you have a mouse wheel on your mouse? Hold on. Do you have a Mac or a PC?
I have a Mac.
Oh, hold down your Command key, your Apple key, and then use the mouse wheel to go up and down.
My Apple key?
The Command key next to your space bar. That one that has the little clover leaf on it, the little 4-leaf clover.
I'm holding it, and nothing's happening.
Oh, that used to work in the old days. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe hold down that and do plus. Like hold down that and do, or maybe it's shift plus. Yeah, plus and minus. I don't remember. Hold on. Increase.
Oh yeah.
That work?
There we go.
Hey, there we go.
I found it. All right.
That's the first. Hey, look at that.
So I just thought it would be interesting to look at the timeline. So 598 to 633 is the first two kings, Edwin and Ethelfrith, and then there's some nice little pictures of some of the area. So this is the palace of King Edwin, or looking towards the site of Ad Gefrin, which was the palace of King Edwin. Then Then they had a battle of Catterick, and the Northern King defeated the Scots. I'm just going to whip through this. This is Bamberg, and apparently this is not what it looked like at the time when King Edwin was the king, but that's what it looks like now. And if anybody's watched The Last Kingdom, that series, that's
Which
all.
is so good. It's so good.
It's so good, and it's all happening during the Viking Age. After, like, I don't know, it's like 800. Is that time period?
Yeah, I think it was when Alfred the Great was king.
Right,
So
which is
that was
in the
in
9th century, I think.
yeah, eight is from. So he was born in 849 and died in 899.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 9th century.
Yeah. So this is what Bamberg looks like as well from this side. So this is the two kingdoms of Dara and Bernicia. Ethelfrith was the king of Bernicia, apparently. I mean, was it Bernicia? Dara, sorry. Edwin is exiled, and Ethelfrith is killed. Edwin becomes the king. There wasn't too much in that what you read about King Redwald, but he basically raised Edwin and was his protector, and trained him in all his fighting skills and so on. This is an interesting little bit here. During that time period, Muhammad made his journey from Mecca to Medina, and it was the beginning of Islam. So that puts us in, a time period.
Yep.
Then he marries his Christian wife. And I guess this is in commemorating Ad-Gefren, his palace, his northern palace. And we've got the assassination attempt, the defeat of Wessex, his conversion, and he started building this. It was a wooden church in his day, but now it's York Minster, which is just massive.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Then Paulinus was a missionary sent from. Oh shoot! Now I've forgotten it. I don't know. I don't think it was Greece. Anyways, he was closer to the origins of, Orthodox Christianity. Maybe you could look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah. Edwin began rebuilding the wooden church. This is what it looks like now. It did not look like this in Edwin's time. And then he dies in battle. And Penda was a pagan, and he was one of the last pagans. He held out for a long, long time.
So he was, St. Paulinus was sent by Pope Gregory I to Christianize the Anglo-Saxons from their native Anglo-Saxon paganism.
Right.
And he arrived in 604.
Okay.
And then he was the first bishop of York.
Where did he arrive from?
It just
Rome?
see. He was a monk sent from Rome. Yep. To the Kingdom of Kent by Pope Gregory.
Okay.
He was probably an Italian by birth.
Yeah. Now I just have to see what other tabs I have open because I don't have them in any particular order. Oh yeah, a little. I thought this was interesting. Let me see here. Let's get back over here. Sorry, I'm a little bit of a Luddite, so
That's fine. That's good. I wish I was.
okay. Where is it? Oh, here. I thought this was cool. Which religions did Anglo-Saxons follow? The Britons were Christians, but we're now cut off from Rome. But the Anglo-Saxons remained pagan.
Can you zoom in?
Can I zoom?
Remember, it was Command Plus.
Oh, come on. It appeared and then it disappeared.
It's working. There you go.
Okay.
That's better. Yeah. Yay. You learned something today. That's good.
And I can do it more than once.
Nice.
So the Britons were Christians, but were now cut off from Rome. But the Anglo-Saxons remained pagan. In 597, St. Augustine had been sent to Kent by Pope Gregory the Great to convert the Anglo-Saxons. It was a tall order for his tiny mission, but gradually the seven kingdoms did convert and became exemplary Christians, so much so that they converted their old tribal homelands in Germany.
Wow.
So, and this was interesting, and it comes up in the other kings. One reason why they converted was because the church said that the Christian God would deliver them victory in battles. When this failed to materialize, some Anglo-Saxon kings became apostate, and a different approach was required. The man chosen for the task was an elderly Greek named Theodore of Tarsus, but he was not the Pope's first choice. Instead, he had offered the job to a younger man, Hadrian the African, a Berber refugee from North Africa. But Hadrian objected that he was too young. And apparently, they went together. The truth was that people in the civilized south of Europe dreaded the idea of going to England, which was considered barbaric and had a terrible reputation. The Pope decided to send both men to keep each other company on the long journey. After more than a year and many adventures, they arrived and set to work to reform the English church. Theodore lived to be 88, a grand old age for those days, and Hadrian, the young man who had fled from his home in North Africa, outlived him and continued to devote himself to his task until his death in AD 710. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And that's about Oswald. So, yeah, that's all I've got.
The Britons were converted by the Romans to begin with, but then Rome fell, and the British and the Romans just left. They just left England.
Yeah, in the
so then the English were just kind of left on their own.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing was, they said that then they started forming all these little kingdoms, and all these kings popped up. And what's interesting about Edwin is that his wife was Christian, and she was given the task of converting her pagan husband by, I think it was Saint Paulinus, who was with her all the time. He came with her.
Oh, so he was like the
so she was a
spiritual father, basically,
a missionary, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. That's like that's similar to well, I guess not really, but it reminds me of the story of Sophia. So Sophia was the last remaining relatives of the line of emperors from Constantinople. So when the last Constantine was killed in battle, her and her sister fled to Rome, and they were raised in Rome. And then she was offered as the bride, and she was forced to convert to be a uniate. Basically, she had to accept the authority of the Pope when she was in Rome, and then she was offered as a bride to Vladimir in Moscow because the Pope wanted to convert the Rus to be uniates, and so he offered her as a bride, with the hope that she would convert, and with the plan that she would convert him to being a Uniate. And as soon as she showed up, he said, "You have to be baptized again." And she was like, "Okay." And she immediately went right back to being Orthodox. And because they were Orthodox already, but not really. Like Vladimir was the first convert, he was the one who converted.
Yeah.
So he was converting his kingdom, and she was the one who basically taught him what it meant to be, to be royalty, Orthodox royalty, what Orthodox royalty looked like. She was the one who basically formed the court,
Okay.
and also led. She was the one who encouraged him to. They had been paying tribute to the Mongols for like 4 centuries, and there was kind of warring factions between the brothers. They didn't all agree, and then she was under Vladimir. They united, and also had a small war with Genghis Khan or Kublai Khan, I should say, with Kublai Khan, and ended up not freeing themselves from having to pay tribute to the Mongols.
Right.
And that's when Russia became Russia. So anyway.
Another interesting, or actually amazing part of that story is Koifi, the pagan priest.
Oh, yes. Yeah. A lot of bravery on his part, and humility, right?
Well,
which was not.
And it was all of them, like his whole council. He had, he didn't just convert. He actually went to the council and said, "Here's what I'm thinking about. This is what I've been told. This is what happened to me," right? There was a prophecy.
Yeah.
What now? And they all went, it's probably, that God is probably, the one we should be going with.
Winning over our God. Yeah.
And so, like, I remember in the presentation that the nun did, she talked about the fact that Edwin was very, very thoughtful, and he didn't make any rash decisions. Like it even said in what you read that it took him years to convert, right?
Yeah.
And but he also involved his own people. But this was also part of the Anglo-Saxon life. Like they were very much community oriented, and so things were done together. Decisions were made together. So I think that's a really interesting aspect to the story too.
Oh, I agree, and I'm glad you showcased that. I was listening to a presentation, and they were talking about how when we think of kings, we mistakenly think of monarchs, but kings and monarchs were two different things.
Yeah.
It was like the king was just someone in your family who was the leader of your family, but he was subject to the same rules that you were. Like he was just the spokesperson basically, or the one who would make the final decision if there were disagreements. But it wasn't like he was the boss. It wasn't like he was the rule. Like he wasn't the
Well, he wasn't a tyrant.
Yeah, he wasn't a tyrant. That's the thing. He was more like, and especially as they became more Christian, the position of king was just like head protector. It wasn't head boss man.
He was the head of a council.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of Arthurian when you think about it.
Yes, very much. Yeah.
I don't remember the context, but I did run across Gwendolyn while I was looking all this stuff up. So there is a connection to this early Anglo-Saxon history and the Arthurian tales. So
beautiful.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I just want to check to see if I have other things here. Oh yeah, I wanted to highlight this one. Hang on, just so everybody has a concept. This one. So the map.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there's a map to give people an idea. So this is Dara, that kingdom, with Ethelfrith, and this is Bernicia with our king, Edwin. And there's not a lot of surety about how these people all ended up here. But one thing is for sure is that they came from Germany, They could have come as mercenaries. They could have come with the Roman armies. They're not entirely sure, probably a little bit of both. Some of them were also Frisian and Danish, or Jute, I think it's called, right? Jute. So those are the quote unquote Anglo-Saxon people, but the Saxons and the Angles were two different people, and they ended up becoming, a unit in England.
And the Britons on top of that, right? Which
And the
kind of
Brit,
get backed in with the Anglos.
yeah, yeah. But this is the area that we're looking at here mostly. So, whoop.
Interesting.
Okay. Wait, let me just check one more.
Okay, sure.
What else have I got here? Just want to make sure. Okay, yeah, that's
Oh
it.
man, I love this icon of St. Oswald. Okay, I'll share my screen. This is great.
Oh yeah, we didn't see an icon of St. Edwin actually.
No, you let me pull one up. Let's do that.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
We need to do that.
And he's the first Christian king. Just want to say.
No, there was his wife's dad.
Yeah, but they weren't Anglo-Saxon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. He was Briton. He was this. Saint Edwin was the first Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay, I'm with you now.
Should have clarified.
Okay.
I'm in an Anglo-Saxon world. So.
Yeah, that's all right. So there's Saint Edwin.
There he is.
Holding the church built.
Yeah, that's the church that he was building, right?
Yep.
Nice.
All right. And now I will share St. Oswald.
St. Oswald has quite the reputation.
This is a great icon, by the way. I love this icon.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Amazing.
That's a different style than you normally see. That's great.
Yes, that is awesome.
I love the crow.
Yeah, there's a story about that.
I'm sure we'll hear about the crow. St. Oswald, king and martyr. St. Oswald was born around 605, the second of the 7 sons of the Anglo-Saxon king Ethelfrith, who was the first ruler to unite the provinces of Bernicia and Deira into the kingdom of Northumbria. King Edwin of Deira refused to accept the Bernician control of both provinces, so he attempted a coup while Ethelfrith was away in the north. Edwin was defeated and driven into exile. When Ethelfrith was killed later, Edwin became king of Northumbria. Oswald's mother, Acca, Edwin's sister, fled to Ireland, then called Scotland, with her children. It is believed that during his 17 years of exile, St. Oswald received Christian baptism at Iona and also learned the Gaelic language. Edwin was killed in 633 while fighting King Penda of Mercia and King Caedwalla of Siwaned, North Wales. Eanfrith, Oswald's older brother, returned to paganism and was killed in battle against Caedwalla. Now Oswald had to lead the struggle against the Britons. In 634, Oswald assembled an army and prepared to meet the forces of Penda and Caedwalla at Heavenfeld, near the Roman wall, 7 miles north of Hexham. On the eve of the battle, St. Oswald set up a great wooden cross on the field. With his own hands, the king steadied the cross while his men filled in the hole which had been dug to receive it. Although only a few of his men were Christians, Oswald ordered the army to kneel and pray to the true and living God to grant them victory. Let us now kneel down and pray to the omnipotent and only true God, that he will mercifully defend us from our proud enemy, he told them, for he knows that we fight in a just war in defense of our lives and our country. A modern replica of this cross now stands on the site near the Church of St. Oswald. The night before the battle, King Oswald had a vision of St. Columba of Iona. Oh, I have his icon right here. I'll grab it. I'll show it after. So the night before the battle, King Oswald had a vision of St. Columba of Iona, who stretched his cloak over the sleeping soldiers and promised that the Saxon army would defeat Caedwalla the next day. Following the battle, Oswald established his supremacy in Northumbria and his right to the title of Bretwalda, High King of England. He was godfather to King Cynegils of Wessex at his baptism and married his daughter in 635. By 637, Oswald's authority was recognized by almost everyone. For the next 5 years, Britain was blessed with a rare period of stability. While governing his earthly realm, St. Oswald also labored to attain a heavenly crown and to bring his people into the kingdom of God. Turning to the Celtic monks of Iona rather than the Roman clergy at Canterbury, Oswald invited missionaries to proclaim the gospel to his subjects. The first bishop sent to lead the mission proved unsuitable, for he alienated many people by his harshness. The bishop was recalled, and an ideal candidate was found to replace him. St. Aidan was consecrated bishop and sent to Northumbria to take charge of the mission. King Oswald gave him the island of Lindisfarne near the royal residence of Bamberg for his episcopal see. St. Aidan also founded the famous monastery on Lindisfarne. Since Bishop Aidan was not yet fluent in the Anglo-Saxon tongue, St. Oswald would accompany him on his missionary journeys. The king translated the bishop's words and explained the word of God to his subjects, playing an active role in the evangelization of his kingdom. People flocked to receive baptism, drawn partly by Aidan's preaching and partly by King Oswald's example of godliness and virtue. St. Oswald was a devout and sincere Christian who was often seen sitting with his hands resting palms upwards on his knees in a gesture of prayer. He granted land and money for the establishment of monasteries, and he was famous for his generosity to the poor. One year, after attending the services of Pascha, King Oswald sat down to a meal with Bishop Aidan. Just as the bishop was about to bless the food, a servant came in and informed the king that a great number of needy folk were outside begging for alms. The king ordered that his own food be served to the poor on silver platters, and that the silver serving dishes be broken up and distributed to them. There is a charming illustration of this incident in the 13th century Berthold Missal in New York's Pierpont Morgan Library. Aidan, deeply moved by St. Oswald's charity, took him by the right hand and said, "May this hand never perish." According to tradition, St. Oswald's hand remained incorrupt for centuries after his death. St. Bede says that the hand was kept in the church of St. Peter at Bamberg, where it was venerated by all. The present location of the hand, if it still survives, is not known. St. Oswald was killed in battle against the superior forces of King Penda on August 5th, 642, at a place called Maserfield. He was only 38 years old. Before his death, St. Oswald prayed for the souls of his soldiers. This has become almost proverbial. "O God, be merciful to their souls," said Oswald when he fell. Some identify the battle site with Oswestry, Oswald's tree or cross, in Shropshire, but this seems an unlikely place for a battle between Mercians and Northumbrians. Others believe that Lichfield is the probable site. Lichfield means field of the body, and was founded by Oswald's brother Oswy. The city was an archbishopric for 17 years under Offa, who had a particular veneration for St. Oswald. Following the Battle of Maserfield, St. Oswald's body was dismembered and his head and arms were displayed on poles. Many miraculous healings took place at the site of the battle. This is not surprising, for during his lifetime, St. Oswald always helped the sick and the needy. Pilgrims took earth from the place where St. Oswald fell, and many sick people were healed by mixing some of the dust with water and drinking it. A year after his death, St. Oswald's arms were brought to Bamberg by Oswy, and his head was brought to Lindisfarne. There, the grief-stricken Bishop Aidan interred it interred it in the monastery church. According to William of Malmesbury, in the 12th century, St. Oswald is the first English saint whose relics worked miracles. Portions of his relics were distributed to several churches in England in Europe. Today, St. Oswald's head is in Durham Cathedral in St. Cuthbert's coffin, but the rest of his relics seem to have been lost. In December of 1069, a clergyman named Ernan had a vision of Saints Cuthbert and Oswald. He described the king as being clad in a scarlet cloak, tall in stature, with a thin beard and boyish face. This is recorded by the historian Simeon of Durham. In the Middle Ages, devotion to St. Oswald spread from Britain to Spain, Italy, and Germany. Unfortunately, the fame of this most Christian king is somewhat obscured today, and his popularity diminished after the Norman conquest in 1066. Before that, the Danish invaders destroyed many Anglo-Saxon political and legal institutions, as well as written records and oral traditions which had been preserved in the monasteries. Though King Alfred the Great and even William the Conqueror were anxious to link themselves with St. Oswald, the kings who reigned after the conquest were less inclined to associate themselves to St. Oswald's reputation as king. For 3 centuries, the Norman kings of England spoke French, which became the language of the court, and they showed little interest in English history. There were significant changes to the monastic culture after the conquest as well. A number of monks were brought over from France, and they began to populate the English monasteries. By this time, the English church had become more solidly allied with Rome, and the old Celtic traditions began to disappear. St. Oswald deserves to be better known, but he has not been completely forgotten. There are over 60 churches dedicated to him in England, and his name is also associated with several place names and holy wells. St. Oswald is also commemorated on June 20th, the transfer of his relics. May we have the intercessions of St. Edwin and St. Oswald.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to find some things here.
I'll show my icon of St. Columba.
Oh, yeah, let's see that.
Let's see. I'll put it here so it will focus.
He has an amazing story, too.
Yes, definitely look up. I definitely recommend looking up his life.
We'll do that one.
Yeah, we should do St. Columba.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah. So I was going to show the Cathedral of Durham. Let me see here. I've got like tons of pictures just in images. How do I get rid of this? Let me see. Okay, we'll go here. This is where his head is. And it's buried with St. Columba. So, I don't know. I can't really make it much bigger than that. I don't know how. But there's the cathedral there. There's some interior pictures here. It's amazing.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's just... So because he's buried with St. Columba, there are many... I have to go out again here. I guess. Let's see here. Where am I? I gotta represent every time. Here, this one. Oops. There. I don't know where this is. If it's on Durham Cathedral, I don't know. It doesn't really say on the picture, but that's St. Columba with Oswald's head. And the reason for him always holding the head is that if I switch to another tab, will it just tell me if you can see this? Can you see that one?
No.
Okay, it goes away, eh? Stupid.
Well, it doesn't go away. It just doesn't change.
Oh, it doesn't change.
No,
Oh,
it doesn't change.
oh, okay. Well, maybe I just have to do this then. Let me see. Oh, I can't get in there again. I have to go here. One of these days I'll learn how to do this. I think it's this one. This one. There's a stained glass as well holding
Oh,
it.
wow.
So
Yeah.
it's just it's a theme that is often seen.
Mm. Oh, that's St. Cuthbert.
Saint Cuthbert, not Columba. Saint
Yeah.
Cuthbert with his head, because he's buried with his head is buried with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to show a picture. I'm going to see if I can get this one up to go out again. Stop and go again. And I'll see if I can make this bigger. So what did I do? Command plus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's working.
Oh. So this is an old pagan hill fort. It's one of the biggest in I think in England,
Wow.
called Old Oswestry, which is one of the places where they think the battle was fought, like nearby.
Mm.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, look at that house down there, how small it is.
Yeah.
That's a fun little rabbit hole if anybody's interested. Yeah. And what else do I have here?
Did you have the place where the cross is? Where the Let's see.
No, I couldn't
Okay.
find that.
Mm.
This is an interesting. This is just from a someone's essay, but I thought it was an interesting thing to note. Here. He says Oswald serves as a fascinating microcosm of the merging of pagan and Christian traditions in early medieval Anglo-Saxon England. Oswald is simultaneously the great warrior king of the Germanic past and the saintly king of the Christian present and future.
Mm.
So, yeah, I thought that was it's really a crossroads, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then of course there's a whole bunch of information on his body parts. but
Yeah.
but there's an interesting historical thing that his brother, because I think his head and his arms were on those poles for like a year or two.
Mm.
And his brother went into enemy territory and retrieved them out, because part of the reason why Penda did that was to forbid them from having a funeral and a feast. He was trying to demoralize the people, and they couldn't without a body. Without a body, they weren't able to do that. So they were just, they couldn't mourn, right?
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of in Penda's attempt to kind of like wipe Oswald from the historical record, he made him into the most potent saint that ever was.
Yeah.
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 There were relics of the poles, slivers of wood from the poles that his
Yeah.
body parts were on for so long, and apparently his right hand was uncorrupted.
Yeah.
But it was I'm trying to remember, it was destroyed or stolen. I think it was finally destroyed by the English Civil War
Mm.
in the Civil War. So, yeah, that's all I got.
I did find the church
Oh,
of Heavenfield, the one near Heavenfield where he planted the cross and he dug the hole and held the cross while they buried it. I'll share this.
cool.
So, and then they have this cross that's like it's not
Yeah,
the cross that he actually made, but
that's
it's a
yeah,
remnant. It's a
in
it's a
memory. In memory.
yes. And then this is the church. This
Yeah.
is this Church of St. Oswald,
Yeah.
near that battlefield site. So
Yeah, I should
where
have.
he became where he became the king
Mhm.
was the this was a nice picture.
Yeah,
So
it's beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, and he features quite heavily in the Lost Kingdom series because there's a couple of monks who are trying to bribe or pay for some of his relics to bring back to their
yeah,
monastery.
wasn't it his hand?
Huh?
Wasn't it his hand
I don't remember.
in the show? I think it was, but I don't remember for sure. Oh,
Yeah.
here's a this is great. This
Oh,
is a
there.
mosaic of him planting that cross.
Nice.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that is.
We will save that one. That's a great picture.
Yeah.
Who's this? Who's this?
That might be all of them.
Oswald. And
Oh, the afterlife.
and Saint Edwin. Yeah, Saint Edwin is on the right, and Saint Oswald is on the left.
Yeah.
And that is Saint Oswald in the middle.
Oswald.
Oswald. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's an amazing story. I love it. I hope we did it justice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop a link into the chat if anybody wants to join us. That would be great.
We'd like it. Yeah, come join the train wreck.
Yeah. There you go.
Sorry we were out last week. It was the first week of Great Lent, so I was at services all week.
I did a little just chatting, and I actually read the story.
Oh, good.
I didn't title it as such, but I read the story of Saint Nikolai Velimirovich, and I read a couple of his prayers from Prayers by the Lake. I just felt like, this time on Tuesday at 6 is just consecrated to talking about this great cloud of witnesses. So I'm going to try to read something, or not try, I'm going to read something from the Heliand, which is a very old bardic type tale of the New Testament. So, and I think I've mentioned this before, but let me just see. It's give you an idea of when it was written, if it's in here. No, it's not, I'm not going to be able to find it. I should have figured it out before I did. Well, it's from the Times. It's written in Anglo-Saxon anyway, originally. Oh, maybe here. Okay, so the Heliand has a unique aura in the history of world literature. Its contemplative integration of Northern European magic, soothsaying, wizardry, fatalistic warrior virtues, personal mysticism, and the Christian gospel story give it a compelling power and charm. The Heliand was written in Old Saxon over 1,000 years ago. There you go. In the first half of the 9th century, by an author whose mysterious identity has remained unknown. Whoever he was an enormously gifted religious poet capable of profound intercultural communication. He rewrote and reimagined the events and words of the gospel as if they had taken place and been spoken in his own country and time, in the chieftain society of a defeated people, forcibly Christianized by the Charlemagne, the Saxons. By the power of his imagination, the unknown poet monk, perhaps ex-warrior, created a unique cultural synthesis between Christianity and Germanic warrior society, a synthesis that would ultimately lead to the culture of knighthood and become the foundation of medieval Europe. So I'm gonna. So it's essentially the New Testament. I'll read you some of the. They're not chapters. They're called songs. Song 1, Song 2, Song 3. Song 1 is the Creator's spell by which the whole world is held together, is taught to 4 heroes. And those 4 heroes are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Because this is the gospel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Song 2 is Zachary sees the chieftain's angel in the shrine. Song 3 is John comes to the light of mankind. Song 4, the all-ruler's angel comes to Mary in Galilee land. So let's read that one. We'll read a little bit of that. Because we're all familiar with that story, I think, right? Okay. I won't read the whole thing. I'll just read a small... Well, maybe I could. It's not that long. The all-ruler's angel comes to Mary in Galilee land. It was not long thereafter that it was all accomplished, just as the Almighty God had so often promised mankind, that he would send his heavenly child, his own son, to this world to free all the clans of people here from evil. His messenger, Gabriel, the angel of the all-ruler, then came to Galilee land. There he knew a lovely young woman, a girl who had reached her maidenhood. Her name was Mary. Joseph, a nobleman, was engaged to her, David's daughter. What a precious bride and virtuous woman she was. There in Hillfort, Nazareth, the angel of God addressed her face to face, calling her by her name and saying to her from God, "Health be with you, Mary. Your Lord is very fond of you." And apparently, "health be with you" was a very Anglo-Saxon thing to say. That was their version of good morning. You are precious to the ruler for your wisdom, woman full of grace. You are to be sanctified more than any other woman. Do not waver in your mind, and do not let yourself fear for your life. I have not come here to put you in any danger, and I am not bringing you any kind of trick or deception. You are to become the mother of our chieftain here among human beings. You will bear a child, the son of the high King of heaven. His name among the peoples will be Healer. The broad kingdom over which he will rule as a great leader will never come to an end. Then the maiden, the most beautiful and radiant of women, replied to the angel of God, "How can that happen," she said, "that I would bear a child? I have never known man in my life." The angel of the all-ruler had his answer ready for the woman. By the power of God, the Holy Spirit will come to you from the meadows of heaven. From him a child will be given to you in this world. Divine power from the Most High King of heaven will shade you in its shadow. Never among human beings was there ever as beautiful or so great a birth as this one, when it comes by the power of God to this wide world. After this explanation, the woman's mind changed and was completely in accord with God's will. "I stand here ready," she said, "to perform any service he may wish to give me. I am the maidservant of mankind's God. I now trust this thing. Let it be done unto me according to your words, whatever my Lord wills, nor is my mind in doubt, neither in word nor in deed." And so I have heard it told that the woman very gladly received the message of God with an easy mind, with good faith, and with transparent loyalty. The Holy Spirit became the baby in her womb. In her heart and feelings, she realized what had happened, and she told whomever she wished that the power of the all-ruler coming in holiness from heaven had gotten her pregnant. Joseph's mind and emotions, however, were in turmoil, since he had already bought the maiden, this virtuous woman, this lady of the nobility, to be his bride. He could see that she had a child in her body, and ignored the fact that the woman had actually guarded herself well. He did not yet know about the ruler's merry message. He no longer wanted her to be his bride, his wife within his hall, and he began to think in his mind how he could let her go in such a way that she would not at all get hurt or feel hardship. He also did not want all this made known afterwards to people. He was afraid that the sons of men might take her life. That was the custom of those people, the Hebrews, back then, according to the old law. If ever a woman lived or slept with anyone unlawfully, she always had to pay the price for it, her life for the love. There was no woman so good that she could remain alive long thereafter among those people or last long among the crowd. Joseph, that wise and very good man, began to think in his heart of ways to let the girl go secretly. It was not long then before the messenger of the King of Heaven, the chieftain's angel, came to him there and in a dream, and told him to keep her and to love her in his heart. Do not be angry with Mary, your young lady. She is a proper wife. Do not think too harshly of her. You are to keep her safe. You are to protect her well in this world. Continue with the betrothal which you made, and foster loving friendship between you. Do not let her be loathsome to you because there is a baby in her body. That child in her womb comes from the meadows of heaven by the command of God the Holy Spirit. It is Jesus Christ, God's own boy, the ruler's son. Keep her well in a holy way. Do not let your mind doubt or your emotions be disturbed. Joseph's mind was changed after these words. He took the maiden to be his wife and gave her his love. He acknowledged the power of God and the command of the ruler. He had a great desire to be able to keep her in a holy way, and he took care of her among his warrior companions. And she carried, all for the glory of God, the Holy Spirit, that divine man, until the workings of fate informed her powerfully that she should bring forth to the light of men the best of all who have ever been born.
Mm.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it.
I mean, whoever wrote it knew the most important parts.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and did a really nice compression of it. You know, it's not a summary. It's just a reframing of it, but it's in a very respectful way. I like it a lot.
Eugene, I can't see you for some reason. I see you. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Oh, I switched to another screen for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt.
Sorry, I didn't see you down there for the longest time. I don't know how long you were waiting.
No, this is just in the middle of the song. I wonder how it sounds when it's actually sung, since you said it's a ballad.
Yeah, they're all described as songs. And
we need Martin Shaw to sing it for us, or Richard Rowland.
Well, it was Martin that mentioned this book, and I saw in an interview that he was doing.
Yeah,
I gotta have it.
Yeah, I think Roland is a fan of it too. So
yeah, it's just beautiful because it's retold in a way that the people could understand. But it's not lacking in any way. That was the point that I was trying to make about the story of Mary, right? Like, yeah.
What is this called again, the book?
It's called The Helliand.
The Helliand, okay. And it's basically a retelling of everything that's in the Gospels, right?
Yeah.
Or re-singing, I guess.
Yeah, it's written down somewhere, and they say in the introduction to the translation, it's 1,000 years old.
Which translation did you get? Who?
This is G. Ronald Murphy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he has a lot of footnotes too, so I didn't read the footnotes when I was reading the part that I was reading, but he says here, why translate such a work? If the Helliand is a translation of the Gospel, will not a translation of the Helliand into English simply read like the King James Version? If the Helliand were only a translation, the question would be perfectly justified. But the Helliand is not a translation in a literal sense. It is a reimagining of the Gospel, as the reader will see immediately. And the task of the translator of the Helliand is to bring the reimagined gospel story into English. So, and so they have. Let me just give you an idea. The poet often uses Burg to Saxonize biblical place names such as Nazareth Burg, Bethlehem Burg, and so forth. And yeah, and then chieftain, things like that. Just puts it in a context for the people that it's written for,
Right, so they can relate to it and understand.
And it is apparently rhyming. I'm just reading here. But he couldn't include it. He says, in general, I've not attempted to include alliteration in the translation, but where it was possible and natural, it will be found in the text. So it says, the Heliand consists of 5,984 lines, twice the length of Beowulf, of alliterative verse. So
is it written in Gaelic then?
It's written in Saxon. It's written in Saxon. It's a Saxon gospel, and there's a picture. I don't know. Maybe we can find it on the internet. Do you want to look it up, Jeremy? The Heliand. Just look up. See if you can see any images of the Heliand. I've got an image of it, like the originals, but I don't think it's going to show up on the screen if I hold it up here.
Okay.
There's.
Oh yeah, the
actual writing.
Yeah. Okay. I found it. 1 second.
I wonder if the name means anything. Heliand. It should mean something.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about that because in German, I think it was Tim actually. There it is. In German, Heiland is the word for Christ. And it means savior. But it's not Heliand, it's Heiland. But I think Tim actually looked it up, and etymologically they are connected in some way.
So I wonder if it has anything to do with health, because heil and hail, it's really like health in Germanic languages.
Yes, it is. Heil is also healing.
Yeah.
And
it's also greeting. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. I was watching a documentary about Anglo-Saxon life, and one of the most important things to them was good health, right? Without it, you just And so their greeting to each other was always that. It was good health. Good health.
Good health. It's just like in Russian. Same.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Literally, здравствуйте means health to you.
Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah.
In Turkish too, they say salud.
Oh, salud. That's true.
Yeah, salud is like health to you, good health.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
They say it when you drink too, like as a toast, salud.
Yeah. Yeah, we say будь здоров, which means be healthy. when we toast. Yeah, it's the same. I wonder why. I mean, maybe it has something to do with communion as well. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, alcohol is medicine.
Yep.
Until you drink too much of it. It's a medicine until it's not. My dad's line was, 1 martini is too many, 2's not enough, and 3 is just right.
Well, I mean, alcohol would have been something that you could use for health purposes, to disinfect wounds and keep your body healthy from viruses and all that kind of thing.
Well, digestive issues, with stomach problems. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Russians took it to an extreme, though.
Oh yes, they certainly do. Yep.
Yeah, we have
very much so.
Russians. Well, we used to. We don't have any Russians in our parish anymore. We used to have Russians, and our priest said that. Yeah, they told him flat out. They're like, we drink vodka every day. It's not part of the restrictions of the fast for Lent.
Yeah, no, not in Russia.
No, like we
Yeah,
drink. It's like the
you
vodka
don't.
doesn't count. We don't drink wine, but vodka doesn't count.
Yeah. Yes, we don't eat meat, but we drink vodka.
Yeah. That was
Anyway.
the way it went. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you were reading, I was really like struck by some of the metaphors, and I really do see where this is more than just you know the
Straight translation.
gospel straight translation. And whoever translated and the original text is really, I mean, it's really a spiritual. It's a song basically. It reads like a poem, like the meadows of the whole of heaven.
I know.
Holy Spirit comes from the meadows of heaven. I really like this metaphor.
Yeah.
Very vivid.
Yeah.
And just a few other things that really stood out.
Yeah, like the Holy Spirit is now in you and is growing into be the human being, right? That's amazing. I've never heard that before.
And then he also said that Jesus Christ is God's own boy or something like. And it sounded like I've never heard Jesus Christ called a boy.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a boy, but at the same time.
Yeah, well, it kind of hits it home again, right? It's like a revivification of some of our very ossified understandings of the story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's the beauty of reading those things. You know, they help you to reimagine it, and imagine hearing it as a pagan. Imagine hearing it for the first time. You could relate to it. You had that life, that village life, right? You had those rules. Yeah. Those are totally relatable.
Also, it says something like he will come to save all the clans of all the peoples. And I thought, well, that would be really understandable to, those pagans, because they lived, in clans, all over the place. They were families. They were somehow relating to each other, but there was evil everywhere. And then it basically says he will save you from the evil, save your clans from the evil. That's interesting.
Yeah, but all the clans, it's not like you get special treatment and the others don't. Everybody is included. Like, that's cool.
I wonder how they would characterize evil at that point. What was good and evil? What was a good life for an Anglo-Saxon?
Health.
Yeah, right.
That was it.
Yeah. Victory in battle.
Yeah, I mean, that was the 6th century. So there wasn't a whole lot of, like if you got injured, you probably ended up with gangrene or something. Like everything was a threat, really. Like to hear about that Saint Theodore of Tarsus, the Greek that Saint Gregory sent, or Gregory, was it the Pope?
Yeah.
Living to be 88 years old. That's amazing. Like that always amazes me.
Mm-hmm.
That people could potentially manage to get that far in that world,
Yeah.
Well, somehow in the times of Moses, they lived 70 or 80, because that's what Moses says in one of the Psalms.
Mm-hmm.
That people live to 70 if they have strength to 80.
Right.
Yeah. Everything after that is travail.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few old gold rush towns around here, and they have graveyards, and I like to see the ages, and you kind of grow up thinking people didn't live long, but there's a lot of elderly people in that graveyard, and they might as well have lived in the 5th century or the 6th century, because they were in the middle of nowhere in Canada. You digging for gold. Like there was, at most they had a dentist or a barber who could pull teeth,
Yeah.
and maybe knew a little bit of surgical stuff. But yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, the thing that struck me I was in a graveyard down in central Utah, and it was the number of small grave markers around the parents. There would be 6 or 7 or 8, and they were all just like infants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
a lot of
that would die within the first year of being born.
Yeah.
They would have 8 kids, and 6 of them would die.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's only very recently that we've, and also the mothers being saved too. Like I was, like mothers died in childbirth pretty regularly.
A lot.
Yeah, pretty regularly. So between losing babies and then mothers dying in childbirth, I mean, our birth rates now, I mean, like, yeah, it's a different world now. People don't deal with that very much. They don't even think about it. My sister-in-law's in labor as we speak.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
gonna be an uncle soon. Well, again, I'm gonna have have a nephew, so that'll be fun. So any minute, she's been in labor all day. So
congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited. Hopefully everything goes well. We're praying. But but I mean, it's one of those things where it's just kind of casual, and you don't really take into account like how dangerous and that situation has been for most of human history.
Right.
How tenuous that was.
Guys, I need to go for a second, but I'll be back.
Okay.
Don't turn me off.
Okay. What are you looking up?
I was talking to a friend of mine. I'm sorry. I have a friend who he had a rock climbing. Well, it was an ice climbing accident about 3 months ago.
Oh.
He fell 80 feet and caught himself, but did break both of his legs, both of his ankles.
Oh my god!
But he caught himself before he fell an additional 400 feet.
Oh my gosh! You mean like that, or what?
Yeah, he was ice climbing up a waterfall. Yeah, and something happened with the rigging that he was doing, and his rope came loose, and he fell about 80 feet. And he said he just reached up and grabbed and wrapped the rope around his arm and held it, and it hooked.
Oh my goodness!
And he caught himself. But before that had happened, he had hit his legs, and so anyway, he's in recovery. We've been talking for a bit. He just texted me. So
okay.
That's somebody I'm going to respond to during a live stream. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I just thought you were looking something up.
Yeah. No, I wasn't. I was talking. He just texted me. He tried to call me a little bit ago, and I was like, "I'm sorry, I can't take your call right now."
Yeah.
But we're just happy he's still here. But he's got mixed feelings about being still here. So we're gonna work through that because it's very difficult, very painful. But he's a father, and I'm glad he's here for his daughter still. So it's good.
That's good. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, not to sound mean or anything, but climbing a frozen waterfall sounds like a really stupid thing to do.
He knows.
Oh boy.
No. If you could pray for my friend Nathan, though, I would appreciate it.
Definitely.
His family, because
yeah,
it's been financially very difficult for them as well.
Oh, yeah. Is he gonna be okay, like to walk again?
Yeah, he is back to walking now, but he's in quite a bit of pain still. Mm-hmm. So he is able to walk, but he spends a lot of time at the gym. He's very driven, very athletic person, and so he's recovering faster than they thought he would, but they're not sure how far his recovery will go. You know, because he had some pretty serious injuries. So pretty wild.
Did he have to have his ankles replaced, or were they able to mend
I
them?
don't think so. No, I don't think so. But I don't know the details. I just know it was quite a fall,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of just damn. It's like some of this stuff when you have multiple injuries, it's like they treat the major ones first, and then like the smaller
The other
stuff.
ones show up later.
Yeah, starts showing up, and that's kind of what's still happening. Like he's still in a lot of pain. He said he wakes up in the night a lot. Just his pain wakes him up in the night. And so he's not sleeping well, but he's he's tough, and he's in pretty good spirits. So, but it's a very difficult time for them. So, but yeah, if you climb frozen waterfalls,
Young God says,
it can happen. But there, yeah.
Leave it to me, Young God. My mother used to say, "Zip it, Sherry."
Yeah. Well, he knew the risks. I mean, he's been a rock climber. He's been a mountain climber for, ever since I've known him. Like before he was.
Yeah, some people just love that.
Yeah, it's just, and so he's very experienced and very skilled, but he was using the rigging he was using. Just the carabiner came unscrewed and the rope came out of the carabiner. So
yeah.
I don't know the details other than that. Just glad he's still here. We've known each other for a long time.
Yeah, thank God.
He worked for me as a video editor back in the video poker days, or back in the poker days. He was.
Okay.
So we got to be friends. But anyway, enough of my personal life. Sorry, but
Eugene and Jeremy, did you just to have a word? You guys saw the video of the tree in my yard that I sent you?
Yes.
Oh, I've never seen a tree grow like that. I've never seen a tree grow out. Oh, I'm going to do it through the camera. Go out and around.
From both sides.
And come back the other direction, right? It's not just like going out and going, kind of veering off. It's like out. It's really grabbing. And then the other branch that's just going straight out along the ground. And it's a big branch. It looks like this almost the size of the tree. I've never seen that. So,
and it has two tree-like things coming off of it.
Yeah.
Just
it's a very unusual tree.
Such an unusual tree. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
It's like he's going like this.
It really looks like
drunk,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he's
it certainly has a character. I mean, that's a tree with a character.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah, and that upper crook in that tree is just full of holes. And some of them are so big that ducks have been nesting in there. And oh, nice. Hey. Hi, Luke.
Jerry.
Nice to see you.
Hey, Jeremy. Hi, Eugene.
Are you planting seeds?
Yeah. I was walking out to the greenhouse to start some seeds and checked out YouTube. Saw you guys were streaming. Thought I'd join.
Nice.
So.
Nice. Cool. Thanks for joining.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Got my headlamp. Hopefully, it's not too much of a distraction.
No, it's not too bad.
That looks
cool. Thanks. Yeah, I'm down here in Arkansas, so today was 80 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
I'm actually a little behind getting stuff started, but
wow.
we got a plant sale we're doing at our store like the third weekend in April, so just need to get stuff started for that.
Wow.
But also I've got some flowers and herbs we're gonna start for our own garden.
Wow. I've just started planting potatoes
a while
ago.
Where are you, Eugene?
Well, we're in Houston, so it's a little late.
Oh, okay.
But I had two flower, two raised beds that I where I planted potatoes 2 weeks ago, and they're already sprouted. So,
nice.
But then with the last one, I'm really late, but I'll see what happens.
So do you get 2 crops of potatoes then, or what? in a year?
You could, you could, but I get none because I'm so bad at growing potatoes in this climate. In Siberia, it's easy. Here it's like, oh my goodness, because they tell me that tubers don't really develop in wet, like when it's above 80 Fahrenheit.
Oh, they don't like
which
Yeah.
is, probably in a couple of weeks it's
Oh,
gonna be
that-
always above 80.
Oh,
you
that's
know.
why you have to hurry. You have to be early
Yeah.
because of the heat.
I bet you could grow some great tomatoes though in Houston.
Yes, tomatoes are fine.
Zucchini and cucumbers too, I bet.
Zucchini, no, because of the mildew. It's very, very humid. Zucchinis.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. There's probably some ways to do it, but we've been failing at that all the time, every summer.
Yeah.
They like it hot and dry, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the humidity that kills us. And
Cucumbers would get moldy there too, then, right?
Well, cucumbers. I have neighbors who grow cucumbers very well. So this year we're going to try cucumbers. Yeah.
You're gonna try to keep up with the Joneses, Eugene?
Yes, keep up with the Joneses. Well, my neighbors, they're doing so well. Yes.
My dad had a Native American friend who worked for him, and he said, "It's not the heat that gets to the white people; it's the humility."
Humility.
Some truth to
That's
that.
true. That's true.
I do struggle with pride.
Yeah.
Sherry, how many things do you grow? You probably grow everything.
Well, my husband has been doing the garden for the last 12 years. Because I used to do it when he was working, but then he, wasn't working and he did it and he was doing the farmer's market. So he did amazing stuff. Like he would just throw stuff in and see what happens. So he did tomatillo and he grew lots of different herbs. Everybody at the farmer's market loved his stand because he would just have these randomly weird things and, because he wanted to try stuff. But we grew everything. We've got rhubarb, we've got raspberries, we've got strawberries, we've got 2 apple trees, we've got asparagus. So they all come every year. And also we've got currants, red currant.
Oh, I want to plant a currant bush really bad.
Cool.
I love currants.
Those were here when we got here. Those bushes are probably, I'm going to guess they're at least 60 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he grows potatoes and celery and all kinds of lettuce, And my daughter-in-law in Germany, she likes to send him these heritage seeds, like all kinds of old greens, So I don't even know what they're called in English, so I can't tell you what they are, but they're perennial and they come back all the time. And livestock.
What's the name? Is it in French or what is it?
Surampfen. It's called sour grass. Like if you bite it, it's really sour. And it has long, narrow leaves. It actually grows everywhere in the pastures in Switzerland. And
it's a grass.
It's not really it's not a grass. It's clumpy and it has broad, narrow leaves.
Wow.
What? Maybe I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'll put it here. And yeah, he's got everything. Oh gosh, anything you can think of, zucchinis, squash, melons, pumpkin. He has 2 huge garden areas. So we've got 4 50-foot rows of strawberries.
Whoa.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of strawberries.
That's a lot of freezer jam.
You know where they came from? They came from 3 plants that I bought.
Whoa.
6 years ago.
Yeah, strawberries are
It doesn't take those guys long. I'm telling you, they're just like shooting, and they're June bearing, which I like them the best. I don't like the ever bearing strawberries. They don't have as much flavor. So
yeah.
I'm on year 4 of my asparagus patch. I'm really excited because I haven't been harvesting it much at all. I've just been letting them grow up and seed, and so I have a whole area of the garden that's just asparagus. I'm so excited for this year.
Cool.
This year's gonna be the first year we really harvest it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, Jeremy, we planted asparagus like 3 years ago, and I was really impressed by the flavor difference. I didn't think that homegrown asparagus would taste that different, but it really does.
It's
delicious.
It's the difference between like fresh corn and 3-week-old corn. You know, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, but sorry, Sherry, you found the name of that?
It's sorrel. Sorrel.
Oh, sorrel. Oh, yeah, I know sorrel. Yeah,
sure you do.
We've got tons of sorrel. It's probably a different, might be a different like variety or species, but
I don't know how legal it is to plant seeds from Germany, but
okay. We've got plenty of wild sorrel around here.
Yeah, and then comfrey.
Yeah,
we've got comfrey and borage, and we have a lot of perennial herbs. Arugula. Sometimes oregano will come back. Sometimes we have to replant it, and sometimes tarragon will come back. Sometimes we have to replant it. It just depends on the winter.
Our mint goes crazy here. We plant one little mint plant, and it like wants to take over the whole garden.
Mint does that. We have wild mint all along our like creeks, and it's so nice. You'll be walking through the grass, and all of a sudden you get a loft of mint, and they're really tiny, like frail, beautiful little plants.
We have wild garlic all over the place.
Yeah,
I think it's garlic because it actually grows on like stems, thin stems, and then at the end it forms the cloves at the top.
Oh yeah,
so I believe it's probably wild
like
garlic.
the walking garlic.
Yeah. And it tastes
really
quite
small.
well.
Yeah,
really small. Yeah.
Sherry, do you do any biodynamic gardening at all? You mentioning comfrey just makes me think.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Some little old lady said, I got this stupid comfrey plant in my yard. So she gave him some.
Okay.
And then he planted it where it can spread. It's kind of And and then I pick the leaves and dry them and use them for comfrey salve.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then
tried making that once.
Huh?
I tried making that once, comfrey salve.
Oh, it's easy. Easy. You just have to soak your whatever herbs you're going to use for the salve. You just basically soak them in olive oil if they're in a cool, dark place, you can just leave them in there for as long as you like.
Right.
And then you just make it up with some beeswax, and it's pretty easy actually.
Yeah.
But since I'm on the carnivore diet, I don't eat vegetables anymore. So
how long have you been doing that?
It was a year on the 7th of March for me.
Wow.
Just saying.
Wow. You're swole, Sherry. You got swole.
But
how'd you like it? How'd you like the carnivore diet?
I will probably never go back to anything else. Like I feel so good. I've never I don't get me started because I'll just be like,
okay. So sorry.
But I said to my husband, I said, how people say they feel 20 years younger? He's like, yeah. I said, I feel like I'm 20.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like that's how much better I feel. Like it's insane. And I'm 62. I'm 62. Like I'm not, 40 or 50 or, I'm old, right? So to feel like you're 20, that's just insane. Like, and I've been The reason I started it, Luke, was because I wanted to go to a Jonathan Pajot conference in Langley, and I was having I had struggled a lot the 2 years before because I had a heart attack, but I had some other problems. I got shingles, I got Bell's palsy, I got colitis, and then I had a heart attack. It was just like all this stuff. Oof. And so that then I was like a year on all kinds of pharmaceutical medications, and that they just made me worse. Almost lost my kidneys, actually. And finally, I was down to not being able to eat anything. I would open the fridge and I would just be like in tears because I couldn't eat anything. Everything was a problem. And because my gut was struggling, it makes your heart struggle, right? Because when you eat, it shunts blood to your digestion, and then your heart's like, help, So I just thought I was going to die. Like I was totally prepared. I couldn't walk far without angina. I was breathless all the time. Anyway, and then I wanted to go to this Pajot conference, and 2 or 3 days before the conference, I had this bout with colitis, and I was like, oh, this is not going to happen. I am going to this conference because I'm going to die. Like, that's what I thought. And I want to at least go and see Jonathan Pajot live, right? So I thought, well, I'll just fast, because I'd already been doing like these long fasts, because if I didn't eat, I felt okay, not great, but I felt better. Yeah. So I thought, well, I'll just fast and go. I don't care. So I drove, and I got hungry, and I bought a chicken at a grocery store, cooked chicken. And I just nibbled on that all weekend, like little bits at a time, and nothing happened to me. I was like, oh, okay, this is crazy. So I wasn't trying to be carnivore. I had heard of it like 5 years before when Michaela Peterson did it, but I hadn't really given it any thought. And then the night that the conference was over, I found a Greek steakhouse. And I went in there and I ordered a steak because I was really hungry, and I ate it, and I was fine all night. And I jumped in the car the next day, stopped and had a steak for lunch, was fine. On my way home, I picked up an armload of steaks, and I walked in the house. I said, that's what I'm eating from now on.
Wow.
And I've never looked back. And I mean, I don't have any of those problems anymore. Like I was having the dreaded swelling of the calves and the ankles. If you're a heart patient, that's not a good thing. That just wouldn't resolve, All that went away. I have no breathlessness. I have unlimited energy. I sleep like a baby. I'm just no angina. Like,
wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah. That's exactly what Jordan Peterson says.
It's crazy. That's all I can say. It's unbelievable to me, So anyway.
And
so you have to tell me what you
dairy
eat.
Or vegetables.
I'll ask you.
Yeah. So, well, okay, so here's the deal. And I hate to say this to you, Luke. Plants are trying to kill you. Everybody knows.
With animals, you know who won.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the deal. Well, no, look around.
Plants are sneaky.
They're playing the long game.
How many
plants? Like, no, dude, I already know how this comes out.
How many plants are in the world?
That's amazing.
So plants contain quite a few toxins. Lectins and oxalates are the most talked about. And oxalates are really interesting. A lot of the superfoods that we're recommended to eat are very high in oxalates. Almonds, spinach, rhubarb, potatoes, sweet potatoes, all these, good for you things. And so if you develop kidney stones over time, your doctor will tell you that kidney stones are oxalates. And how oxalates form in the body is this toxin goes into the body and it draws minerals out of your body. It draws calcium and magnesium. It forms a crystal. And that's the oxalate. And that crystal is like a shard of glass, and it penetrates all your tissue, all your organs, all your tissues, your circulatory system, your vein walls, So the theory is that because plants can't run away, they have to develop defense mechanisms that will keep animals from eating them. And I mean, I had never really given this any thought, but my livestock will not eat everything that's out there. They only eat some things, and other things they don't touch. And some things they don't touch in the spring, but they'll eat in the fall. You know? So the running joke with carnivore is, you know, that we eat plants that have been processed by beef.
Yeah, exactly.
And here's the deal.
Secondhand plants.
Yeah, because all ruminant meat, which is the best meat for you on carnivore, it's the most nutrient dense, is ruminated, right?
Yeah.
So the animal itself doesn't actually introduce it directly into its body. It has to go through a process of being broken down before it actually gets in, you know, finally.
Or you mean like a cow eating
a plant.
Plants? Yeah, it will go
Cows,
through a long
sheep,
process.
goats, deer, moose, they're all ruminants. They all have 4 stomachs. And chickens have gizzards. So their food goes in there first, right? Gets
crushed. But Sherry, we have fire, right?
Okay.
Isn't that our predigestion? Cooking?
Yeah, cooking. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not predigestion, actually. Not for plants.
I know. Yeah.
It is for toxins in meat, but not for plants. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the argument is proof that we're carnivore. Here's the argument: is the appendix. That's because in apes, they actually have a massive gut. That's why they have these big round bellies, because they eat plants. And so in a sense, the plants that go into the ape are taking a long time to digest. And what they're digesting their plants in before it goes into the system is our version of the appendix, but it's way bigger and longer. And ours shrunk to nothing, right?
Yeah.
Because we're carnivorous.
Well, probably because we started cooking.
What are you hoping for?
Don't you think so? I mean, I'm not trying to blow up your theory. I know there's a lot of validity to it, but
you can't blow up my theory, okay? Because of the Inuit. The Inuit are the classic example. That's an airtight argument. Come on. The Inuit.
No. It obviously works for you, Sherry. One thing I'm thinking about is it's almost like gosh, what am I thinking of? Like a homeopathic remedy. Like I wonder if these plant toxins in a very small dose is actually good for a healthy person with a healthy digestive system. Because it's like a slight amount of stress. Maybe it elicits some kind of immune response in us that promotes health. But in a person who, for some reason, that system has been compromised, the body can't respond to it. Do you see? I'm wondering if there's something like that happening, Sherry.
Like alcohol for some.
Well, a big part of our problem is that we're eating out of season. We have everything available to us at all times. We eat oranges all year long, bananas all year long, spinach all year long, blueberries all year long. And we think, because we're apes, I'm just going to say that. I'll save the S word for another time. We think that that's normal. Okay? We do. We think it's normal to eat blueberries all year long.
Yeah.
And it's not. So
I saw a title of a video that really stuck with me. It said, "We eat for a winter that never comes."
Yeah.
Right?
Ooh, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
and
good, Jeremy. Yeah.
there's also a whole I don't want to see. I told you shouldn't get me started. Let's just change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's related. So it's Lent right now, right?
Mhm,
A time of fasting. I mean,
mhm.
I think uh just one thing that's been really meaningful for me is getting more in tune with the liturgical cycle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, during this Lent, I gave up alcohol and sweets, and I've been fasting like breakfast and lunch during the week. So just eating dinner. But I think there is something, it's kind of like what you're talking about, Sherry, with being in tune with the natural cycles, the rhythm of what's in season. But then also, experiencing that cycle of feasts and fasting.
Mhm.
I think it's just really good for us, you know?
Oh, it's essential. It's
Yeah.
actually essential for our bodies. Like, um, I'm not fasting in a typical sense because I eat meat, right? So the fast calls for no meat.
You're not going to give up
But
red meat for Lent.
I would starve to death. But here's the thing, I feel like I'm fasting. I've been fasting for a year.
Yeah.
I don't drink alcohol, I don't eat sugar.
Yeah.
I do dairy, a little bit of dairy. I do still drink coffee actually. Um, and but I don't eat anything else. Like no bread, no pies, no pizza, no chips, no, nothing. And I
Yeah.
eat usually I eat one meal a day, but sometimes, my body will tell me. And maybe I do like one meal a day for a week. And then all of a sudden I want to eat 3 steaks in one day. And then I'm back to one meal a day, you know? So,
Wow.
and I make a bone broth that I keep, like I've always got bone broth and I drink bone broth quite a bit. So, but when, like I was saying the other day to somebody, I don't remember who, but because I don't have church, because that's my church, I look outside and I'm like, where's Lent? And I see it everywhere
Yeah.
right now. Everything is thin, everything is gaunt, right? Everything is just hanging on by its fingernails till, the snow is gone and the sun comes out and the grass is green. And it's happening all around us, Luke.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
the liturgical cycle is actually happening out there,
Yeah.
not just in
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
Related note, I was wondering if lentils were related to Lent in any way. So I looked up
Oh,
Probably.
what Lent means. So the word Great Lent means lens in Latin. So it's the great lens. So you're looking into your
Yeah,
heart,
right.
you're looking into your life, you're examining your heart. And so it is also related to lentils because lentils are shaped like lenses,
Yeah.
two
Huh.
lenses facing each other,
Mhm.
right? So, or facing away from each other.
Interesting.
So lentils are named that, but it means lens. So I've
Wow.
loved learning that because it adds more meaning to the season, of actually
Yeah.
examining your life, examining your heart.
Young God, for the first 4 months, because I always had sugar in my coffee. And for the first 4 months of carnivore, I was like, I can't not have sugar in my coffee, just a tiny, and I have 2 cups a day. That's it. And after 4 months, I just stopped. And actually the sugar, my mother put sugar in my coffee the other day when I was visiting her. And she's like, "Oh, I forgot." I said, "It's okay. I'll just drink it." It tastes like acid in my mouth. Like it was so aggressive, the sugar.
Mm.
It was weird.
Yeah.
So, but I do put cream in my coffee, but whipping cream, full fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Grass fed.
No, but it's from a dairy, like a local
Mhm.
dairy. Yeah. I'm not like I'm not the kind of person who thinks that everything has to be grass fed and $100 a steak, you know.
Mhm.
You have to do this in a way that's, it's actually, to be honest with you, Luke, it's cheaper because I don't buy anything else.
Yeah.
I go grocery shopping and I've got 3 liters of full whipping cream, and I buy these they're cheaper steaks that are tender, and I put them in my broth. So I slice them really thin and that's once a day. So I buy 2 packages of those and maybe a couple steaks that I could throw in the barbecue if I feel like it.
Yeah.
So it's about $100, and I get it all fits in one bag, and that's my grocery shopping for the week.
Well,
Nice.
yeah, because I mean, you think about it, everything you're eating is so nutrient dense. You're not eating any empty calories. You're not snacking on crackers or chips or something.
No, and women need a lot more fat than men do. So I eat butter, like.
Yeah. Do you eat other meats besides beef? Do you eat lamb or chicken or pork or?
I don't have a real. It's interesting, I started out with a variety of food and ended up on red meat. But lately I've started making some bacon that I buy at a local butcher shop, and pork belly, actually. Pork belly is my favorite. Like it's not bacon. It's not, salted and
right. It's not. Yeah, it's not cured.
Just like mini pork chops with a ton of fat on them, right?
Yeah.
And chicken is meh. There's this one guy. He's a
yard bird.
Yeah, he's got a channel called Chicken Little because he eats very little chicken. Most carnivores just don't even want to eat it anymore. It doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah, right.
There's nothing.
No, I was just curious. I was just curious.
Yeah. Pork, I do pork belly, but I do mostly meat and beef and some mutton. I've got some of my own in the freezer. And bone broth is amazing. Like it's got all the minerals, everything that you need. It's great.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been 3 years now since my heart attack. And the last appointment I had with the cardiologist, because I refused to take any more medication, he asked me why. And I said, because I'm trying something else. Well, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing the carnivore diet. He goes, what are you eating on that diet? I said, red meat. But his brain is like,
Yeah.
Because they tell you if you eat red meat, you'll die of a heart attack. Right. And fat, tons of fat.
Oh, wild.
And he said to me, well, I'm sorry to say this, Mrs. Suter, but I will be seeing you again. I said, you should be a lot more optimistic than that. That's what I told him.
Yeah.
Oh, doctors.
Yeah.
Well,
gosh.
if I went on a carnivore diet, I would really miss the bread that I make. I sometimes regret. I regret that I make it because it's just so good.
I miss all that stuff. Like you're talking about the lens, Jeremy, and I'm telling you, being on this diet has been a fast for a full year.
Yeah.
Okay. I walk into the grocery store and you don't have any idea how badly I want to buy a bag of chips. I want to buy, like it's like the worst junk food just jumps out at me. Eh? It's like, what about me? Frosted Flakes, dumb thing.
Yeah.
The Little Debbie's.
And the weird thing is, I don't even really go to my local grocery store anymore because there's nothing in it that I want.
Yeah.
I just go to the butcher. Our local butcher, and I buy my meat and my cream. And I went to the grocery store today for what did I buy there?
Oreos. Those are allowed on the fast.
Oreos.
This is the thing about the fast.
My priest jokes about that all the time. He's like, look, okay, they're vegan. Yes. Does that mean you eat the whole package? No. Have I? Yes.
Yeah. I actually, here's the thing. I'm going to be honest. I notice there are a lot of priests with ape bellies.
Yeah.
Ape bellies.
Yeah.
I'm like, vegetables, plants are going to kill you, my friend. They are so going to kill you.
That's probably what it is. It wouldn't be the beer or, who knows? It's the plants. They're just eating too many plants.
Well, I mean, if they're doing long fasts every year, and some are actually monks. They do a vegan diet. A lot of them.
Well, I need to go, guys. I was going to say something a little bit about the readings that Sherry did before I go.
Yeah.
Basically, one thing, maybe I let my imagination run wild, but I was actually imagining that you were reading it in Elrond's, whatever it's called, the chapter on many meetings, and where they would be sitting in a place where there's a fire going all the time, and basically this particular room or whatever it was dedicated to the kind of thing for how did you say it? Balladic reading or something like this.
Yeah.
I forgot the way you said. Yeah, for ballads.
Bardic,
that's the word. Yeah.
The bardic reading.
And it was a place of rejuvenation, of reviving, basically a place where it's like a Sabbath type of thing where you would go and you would really immerse yourself into the readings and into the poetry.
Well, you're deep into the story, right?
Yes. Yeah. And you find some new life poured into you through that.
Right. Yeah.
And Bilbo mentions basically that you can sit there forever and time doesn't pass. It just is. And I was also thinking that, the content of that retelling of the bardic story, whatever song, really resonates with the context. I mean, how to say it? Yeah, I lost the thought. Anyway, so I don't know, for some reason that's really something that would be good to hear in a place like that.
I think this is what Martin Shaw's heart is to do. I don't know if you follow his Substack or he's got a channel now called Jawbone where he's telling stories. Some of them are, fairy tale type known stories or stories that he's been telling for many years. But I also noticed he's starting to tell biblical stories in the same manner, which is reimagining, like the Helliand, right? It's a reimagining. And one of the things I realized a long time ago is that church has always been storytelling. It's always when the tribe or the village got together and they sat around the fire, and somebody told the sacred stories. That wasn't just for entertainment. That was actually church, right? Because they can learn, they can extract ways to be, gratitude. They learn about higher power, something that's above them, something transcendent. And and it's communal, right? So
I love that idea that like Homer was read to the soldiers after they had been in war and they were making their way back home.
Yeah.
They would read the Iliad and the Odyssey. I mean, they would tell those stories as a way of rehabilitating them back into humanity, back into human life. I think that's such a beautiful image. We've just lost all of that,
and the other thing that when I thought about it in that way, the other thing that became really apparent to me is the whole Bible is a story.
Yeah.
And not only that, but it's the story. Okay, so these sacred stories, even Homer, those are the stories of people's lives.
Right.
So they get around the campfire and they tell the story of the hunt, or the story of the boogeyman that they met in the woods, or the spirit, or the whatever. They're the stories of the lives of the saints.
Yeah.
And that is what the Bible is. You open it up and you start with Adam and Eve, and you move through the life of, everybody after that. It's basically the lives of the saints
Yeah.
from cover to cover.
I have a question, guys. Are you gonna do St. Patrick?
Yeah.
I think
Anytime soon?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, next week. That would be
Next
great.
week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That would be
Interesting.
great. My
Yeah.
the priest who made me a catechumen is Father Patrick, so that would be very appropriate.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a great story. I thought we did
Yeah.
him, Jeremy, but we can do him again.
We could do them again. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
I just love him. I love
I
the
don't
story,
know if we
stories
did,
and
but
legends. It's just amazing.
yeah, that'd be great.
Well, I'll see you guys. So good to see you.
Yeah, you
Okay.
too. Sorry for
All right, Eugene.
dominating the conversation with.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you, Luke.
Yeah. Good luck with the potatoes.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
But
See, that's
what you're
weird because
saying,
where I live, when we plant a potato, my grandpa showed me this. It works really great. You plant a potato and you put a tire around it, like an old tire, because when you're on a farm, you have a lot of those just laying around. And you put water in the tire, and you keep water in the tire. You water the potato and put water in the tire.
Oh yeah.
Because we're in the desert, so it adds humidity to the potato. And when the potato grows up about that high above the tire, you fill the tire in with dirt, put another tire there, and keep doing that. And you can get 5 or 6 tires. And at the end of the season, all of that is filled with potatoes. You can get a bushel of potatoes out of one plant.
Where are you, Jeremy?
Utah.
You're in Utah. Okay. Yeah.
So
people do that around here. Yeah. Or trash bags, kind of.
Yeah.
Backyard gardener technique.
Yeah.
But one thing that I was thinking about with what Eugene was saying and then Sherry, what you were saying, it's related to. I've been thinking a lot about identity recently. I don't know if you heard. I had a conversation with.
I watched the whole thing. I loved it.
Christian Baxter about that, and I think I'm still the thing I'm wrestling with. And Sherry, I really wanted to talk to you about this.
Yeah,
I think you brought it up like in one of your comments.
I don't have any context for what you're saying.
Anyway, it's pretty basic. You're fine. But how much of this kind of search for finding identity in, say, like a religious denomination or tradition, or even, like a people, like knowing your history, knowing where you come from, like when does that become idolatry? And I think to me it feels like there's a tension between that kind of that rootedness and a place and a tradition and a culture. There's a tension between that and then the identity in Christ. Do you see? And I kind of
are you talking? Well, see, this is.
I feel that tension in myself, and just you. I think you made a comment about talking about idolatry, and I was just wondering. I don't know, just where your thoughts were along the when identity can become idolatrous.
Yeah, did I make a comment on your video with Christian?
Maybe it was like in comment, like in the live when he did the live stream.
Oh, maybe in there, yeah.
And maybe you were responding to someone else, but
I don't remember.
Anyway, I didn't know if you had any more thoughts on that.
I have a lot of thoughts on that, actually. And here's the thing. I think we're woefully unaware of how important ancestor worship is.
Yeah.
Honestly, because it fixes us to an identity. We have something that we know where we come from. And I don't mean ancestor worship in the pagan sense and I don't think the pagans actually meant it the way we think they did it either. Okay. There's a great book called Spell of the Sensuous by David Abrams, where he talks about this. And I think a lot of our perception of the way that these people were doing things was skewed by I want to be really careful about how I say this. just a misunderstanding of the practice itself, like what it was that they were doing. When an Orthodox Christian goes into the church and kisses all the icons, that is also a kind of ancestor worship. And I'm saying that in quotation marks because I know it's not worship in the Orthodox Church. But what we understood as ancestor worship was also veneration. Okay? It was veneration for the sake of the lives that provided the life for the people who were now offering gifts, right, to their ancestors. But it was also veneration for the wisdom that they passed down. And that they could identify with their ancestors. They knew where they came from.
Right.
We think identity, we think we can choose our identity. We actually don't choose it.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? I mean, did your children ask to be born to you and your wife?
Exactly.
I don't think so.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, that's part of the price we've paid as being deracinated as moderns and immigrant, coming to a different land for whatever reasons our ancestors did, that we've lost that connection. I mean, I have some of it. I mean, I'm, fifth generation, but that's not many. And I've only been recently learning about the culture that my people came from, and why they left, and learning more about, I came from the lowlanders who were kind of rabble rousers, surprisingly, just shockingly. So, but it is very healing. I've been watching this with my brother. So he's my half brother. So he has a different paternal line than I do. And he's been doing more research on his paternal line. And it's like rejuvenated his self-esteem, because he's like, dude, I have two ancestors who were on the Mayflower.
Yeah.
He's like,
wow.
And then they were on Nantucket. They like founded Nantucket, and they owned a whaling business there, like in the time of Moby Dick, like all this stuff, like all this stuff of his life is he's finding more meaning in his life because of learning more about his ancestral line and finding out that, they've been Americans since before there was America. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
However, I want to make a little comment though about idolatry with identity, because it's like I was talking about this with my wife today. So I have a friend who I have a couple of friends who go through like periods of unemployment, like they're working for a while and then they get laid off, and they're looking for like the same job doing the same thing, and they won't take lower pay. It's like, I have to do the same thing I have been doing, and it has to be an upgrade of what I was doing before. And if they don't, they just don't work. They just go for sometimes very long stretches. And this just doesn't compute with my wife and I, because it's just like I've had over 35 job titles in my career, right? Like very different thing. I'm a generalist, so I don't care, right?
Yeah.
If you've got the money, I've got the time. That's how right? So anyway, and what it came down to is what I realized. I was just talking with her about it today, and I was like, because she's like, that's just weird. It feels like you're putting your job or your prestige ahead of your family, like needing to take care of them. I said, it also feels like you're over-identifying with your job, right? You're making an idol out of your job title.
Yeah.
Right. So this is how, this is what gluttony is too, right? Ask me how I know. Like you're identifying with something outside of yourself, and so you're identifying, and also just all me saying, oh, I'm gluttonous. Well, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not gluttonous.
Yeah.
I struggle with gluttony, but I'm not. That's not who I am.
Right.
Right. And that is the way that we can.
Hey, Jeremy.
Get trapped
sorry to interrupt. Natalie
fine.
just joined me out here, so I'm gonna hop off the call. But
okay. Anyway, I was just real quick.
I really love it.
Yeah, identity can become idolatrous when you identify with things that are inappropriate to identify with, right? When you like take it in and you say, this is who I am, and it becomes your little precious,
Yeah.
It becomes it can be a real problem. So anyway.
Yeah. 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 There's
You can identify with your sins. That's what I was trying to say.
to me,
If you over-identify with your sins, because that's what makes it an adult. That makes it idolatrous.
I think that all forms of claiming an identity, like I hate the term I identify with, first of all. But I think all forms of claiming identity is a way of stopping short. And I think that's what idolatry is. It's failing to see that you are actually becoming, right? So if you want to stop at I'm a glutton, then you're never gonna. That's the obstacle you'll never get over, because you just stopped there. Now you're parked.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I don't think people realize that they park when they claim an identity, which actually doesn't make room for any miracles in their lives.
Oh, that's a good point. Wow. Yeah, you're not. There's no space.
Yeah.
For God to come in, right?
No. And what is becoming?
Nice
what does becoming mean? It means constant change.
Yeah.
What is a baby in the womb doing when it's becoming? It's like for 9 months, it's just,
Yeah.
changing, forming, becoming. And then it comes out and it keeps going.
Keeps going, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's very true.
So I'm always very sad when people claim an identity, whether it's their job title or their
well,
their orientation or their spiritual state or what.
I was talking with a materialist, and someone who's a materialist, and I was trying to explain that we're not just atoms, right? And I was like, when you play a note on an instrument, it's a physical thing you're doing. You're blowing through this horn and it's vibrating, and the vibration is causing the air to vibrate, and it hits your eardrum and it's vibrating, right? That's material, no argument. However, if you have someone who then begins doing a series of these sounds in a way that affects you emotionally, and you recognize the song that this person is playing as a song that your mother used to listen to when you were little, now all of a sudden we've gone away from material into this different realm. We're in a different space, because a song is very different than sounds.
Right.
A song is a pattern of sounds over time that has meaning, right? Because the dog can hear the song, or your neighbor can hear the song, and they know it's a song, but they don't, your neighbor may know it's a song, but it doesn't have any significance to them. Your dog just knows it sounds. Probably, maybe, I don't know, maybe it knows it's a song. But I'm saying, like, that's what we are. We are a song. We're not this. I'm a pattern of patterns, and I'm embedded in other patterns, and that's how I think identity works.
Yeah.
I'm a certain pattern of notes that are being played out over time, and my whole aim as a person is to be in harmony with the other songs that are being played around me. And we improvise a little bit, and I run into somebody who's playing a song I've never heard, and I go, oh, look at this, and they go, oh, look at that, and I like that, I'm gonna add that into my little song. But the whole idea is to just stay in harmony with the songs playing around you, and that's what we are. We're musicians participating in this song, right? And it's a larger song that goes forever behind us and forever in front of us.
Right.
Right. And I was trying to just help him bridge out of this material world. I'm like, dude, like, there's a difference between a song and sound. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I don't know, like I think that music, well, first of all, I think music is primary. Like I think that's where that comes before words. But there's a lot to say about this. Where do I want to start? The whole idea of resonance and resonating with someone. Matthias Desmet talks about it as a way of cohering with the other. That's what binds people together is vibration. Okay. And I was
not to get all new agey.
Yeah, well, but there is a resonance in the world.
Yeah, there is overlap. I understand, right?
So, but like, I'm getting a little sleepy here, so I think, but the idea of memory, remembering, and resonance, and what was the other thing that I was thinking about?
Coherence.
Oh, I was thinking about Michael Levin and Ian McGilchrist's conversation. So what Michael Levin is now researching, Jeremy, is the attraction to attention of a conscious being. Okay. So he used the example of library angels, where you'll be thinking about a subject and you'll be walking through a library and a book will fall on the floor and it's just the book that you want to read. Okay. Yeah. And he sees this phenomenon in living creatures, in slime mold. That's his, that's his experimental creature that he's always working with.
Yeah.
But they're not just reaching out for things. The thing is also attracting them, right? That's what's happening in these ecological systems. I thought to myself, I want to send that video of my tree to Ian McGilchrist.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that's very cool.
That's exactly what the tree is doing, right? Okay, so why am I saying that? There was a thought. What were we talking about? You were talking about the song and the memory.
Yeah, and how we're trying to stay in harmony
and cohesion. Well, right. I mean, this whole idea of a reciprocal relationship.
Yes.
For me, I've always identified that as a conversation with being itself.
Right. A dance.
Or a dance, yeah. And so these things are coming together, and I personally have had the sense that they come together at this like incredible speed. They're maybe way out here and we don't know, but we only sense that they've come together when they crash into each other, like the book on the library floor. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's always been happening forever and ever. It's been coming towards you, Jeremy.
It's like the whale that was created at the beginning of time for Jonah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly that same thing.
Yes.
And my tree is such a good example because it's had to grow wrong first.
Wrong.
Yeah. Be attacked by birds and bugs, because the birds actually are coming for the bugs. So it's the bugs that have weakened the tree, and then the birds come, but the birds are using the tree for a home. So it actually has a purpose. Yeah. And so it's trying to hang on, right? But it's been doing it for years.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. That's beautiful.
It's an incredible thought, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we just had we had a guest speaker who came. He was a friend of our priest. He's a an academic theologian, not to be confused with a saintly theologian. But he came and gave some lectures over the weekend. It was really beautiful. It was like a Lenten retreat, that our priest put together. And but one thing he mentioned in there is totally tied into what we're talking about, this idea of names. And he's like, I'm not going to go too far down this rabbit hole, but he said, I just want you to understand that a name is extremely powerful. And the name of Jesus Christ is the most powerful name. And he said, but here's the thing about names. When you are saying the names of people in your prayers, you are drawing them close to you.
Mm.
And when you're saying the name of Jesus Christ, you are drawing him close to you. And the more you do that, the more you are remembering them, the closer to that person you are drawing. And they are being healed by you remembering them.
Yeah.
And you are being healed by remembering them.
Yeah, that's interesting that you're mentioning this because this ties in for me with the body. Like, this is about the memory and the body are kind of an alignment of heaven and earth, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
like, here's an example. I decided to pick up my guitar after many, many, many years of not playing my guitar. I thought, okay, time to do it again. And I went to tune it and I couldn't remember how. And I tried and tried to remember and I couldn't. And so I let it go. And I asked my body to remember, and my body remembered. I just put my fingers and I started doing ding, ding, and my fingers went right to the right spots, right? Now, because I couldn't remember what fret and all the rest.
Right.
And I was astonished. And then I was watching Jonathan Pajot and Aidan Hart and Martin Shaw and all those guys sitting around that table at art talking about art. And I kept thinking to myself, good art is when you ask your body to remember. And when you hear the song that your mother sang or your grandmother sang, your body remembers. It's your body that remembers, because that's where the resonance happens. That's where the emotions are. Right?
Yes.
So, and when you're praying for somebody and you're bringing them close to you, you're pulling them in towards your body, right? This is, I'm just thinking out loud, but there's something about the incarnational aspect of a sacramental worldview, Jeremy, that this is talking about. I haven't thought it through, but
yeah. No, I totally agree with you. Speaking of, there's a great book for people who are in more of a secular mindset, called Journey to Reality, about what it means to move toward a sacramental worldview, and what a sacramental worldview is, and what the material view is, and how to move from the secular view to the sacramental view. And it's written for, like, it was a professor who he was supposed to teach an introduction to theology class for college freshmen at a prominent Catholic university. So he's like, these are active Catholics who grew up Catholic, but they come in and they just don't know they know what to say, but they don't know what it means.
Right.
And he was trying to, because he said even though they've grown up Catholic, they're very secular. They have the secular view. And he was like, they were asking me, like, why do we have to go to church? So he started putting this book together to be able to explain to them. Like, this book is basically the curriculum for Intro to Theology. It's like how to see the world from a sacramental worldview. So anyway, I highly recommend it. It's really good.
I just want to say here, young God, that Jesus called his body the temple. He said, this is going to be destroyed, and in 3 days I'll build it up again. He was referring to his crucifixion and resurrection.
Paul said that too.
Yeah, and so like, sure, there's probably people that are completely narcissistic and say the same thing.
It can become an idol. You know, it can become
everything can be an idol. You know, right. The Bible can be an idol. The icon can be an idol. Like, it's about intention and it's about attention. So, yeah. I mean, I could turn this into an idol. You know, I could turn my coffee cup is almost an idol. Just kidding. You need to reread the Gospels. You've read them already? That's amazing. I've only read them once.
It's startling, honestly. Like, I grew up, I read the whole Bible when I was a missionary, on my mission, when I was a Mormon missionary.
Mm-hmm.
But to come back to it now as an adult from a sacramental worldview rather than a secular materialist point of view, which, even though I was religious, I was a materialist, and I was, I took I looked at it as I looked at the Bible as a newspaper article about things that happened rather than a revelation of heavenly patterns in the lives of people, and coming back to it and reading the Gospels, it's first of all, these little phrases that are just sneaked in there, like the wedding of Cana in John, just like, on the third day, there was a wedding in Cana. And you just kind of blow right past that. But right now I'm reading, and I have this Bible that has a lot of commentary from church fathers. And every time there's a note, I promise myself, I'm like, I'm just going to stop and read the commentary. I don't care how long it takes to read the Gospels. Doesn't matter. I want to read this. And the stuff that's being unfolded and opened up, the meaning, it was just like on the third day.
Yeah.
And that has this huge significance because it's tying to the resurrection. It's tying the wedding to the resurrection. It's tying the church to the third day, the church to the resurrection.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's like everything ties, just this one phrase, on the third day. And going through and seeing that and how it unfolds and how all these things interlap and intertwine. And the more familiar you are with the Old Testament, the more references you catch in the New Testament. And, like there was this one little phrase that I was stuck on for a long time, where Christ was going into the Garden of Gethsemane to pray, is the night, before the night he was arrested. And it said, he stepped over the Kidron, the river Kidron. And I was like, oh, what is that? Kidron. Oh, they mentioned it. I should look into that. Kidron was the same river where King Josiah had taken all of the idols and crushed them and burned them and crushed them, and he took it down to the river Kidron and threw it in the river. So it was like the domination, it was like the elimination of the idolatry, the idols and the demons, like they had been vanquished. And Christ is stepping over that river to go into the Garden of Gethsemane, right? Like all these little things, they're just everywhere.
Oh yeah,
completely missed when I was young, are now being opened up to me, and just it's so
rich and multifaceted.
It is so rich that you can't even take it all in. It's like you just spend your life doing this again and again and again, and you're like, oh, I didn't see this before. Why didn't I notice this before? I don't remember this story at all. Like they're just weird things that Jesus says, and you're just like, what? What is going on here? Like the story about like the guy who, is the servant who is in charge of keeping track of the books for his master, and he's about to get fired, and he goes to people and he's like, oh, you're forgiven. Here's forgive your debt. And he did it so that he would have a place to land after he got fired, because he knew he was about to be fired. And then he's not fired because his master's like, oh, that's pretty clever.
Yeah.
I like this. I'm going to keep around. I'm just like, what is this story? This doesn't make sense to your mind, theological mind. And it's just been such a joy to be reintroduced to the scriptures from a sacramental worldview. And to be part of a tradition that, with a communal participatory rituals and relationships, and I have a spiritual father, and I can ask about things and talk about things and learn about things, and it's a completely different way of reading the Gospels. It's a whole different experience of being reintroduced to Christ in all of his difficulty and all of his bewildering, responses and all of his completely unpredictable behavior. I'm just falling back in love with it. I'm falling back in love with Christ. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
That's what happened to me when I read. I mean, I can't say that I didn't, I belonged to a church it was like going to Bible college. It literally was a Bible college. It was a small private Bible college.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was, every Wednesday was prayer meeting, and then it was Sunday morning and Sunday evening, and Friday was youth group, and then sometimes there were family banquets, on Saturdays. Like, you were just always going to this church.
Yeah.
And I mean, he would mention a scripture verse, and I could just flip right open to it. Like, I knew just by looking at my Bible where that was. Like, about right there. Next page, maybe, And when I got pregnant for my oldest daughter, I was living at home again. And I just started reading the gospel because I wanted to know how to raise a child. And the nicest part of the Bible that I could think of was the Gospels. I didn't want to read Paul. I couldn't stand Paul. I didn't want to read the Old Testament because people were getting hit with fire and brimstone, so, and I'm going to have a baby. So I'm like, where was the baby? He's in the Gospels, right?
Yeah.
And I started reading them for parenting tips.
Wow.
and I fell in love with Jesus. Like, I literally, for the same reasons that you're talking about, I was like, who is this person? Yeah. And how does he do this?
Yeah, it's shocking.
It was just so good. And I literally fell in love. Like I was in love.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because I just had a baby and I didn't have a husband. That's possible.
Well, I'm in love, and it's not because I'm in that. I'm not.
You're not a woman.
And, no, I'm not a woman. But I love him because he's.
He was impressive to me. I was like, this person is so impressive.
Yeah. I'm
blown away. Yeah.
Well, he was always pointing deeper and, further up and further in, as Paul likes to say. He's always beckoning, right? Like, okay, I know you know this.
Yeah.
Come over here. Let me show you something.
That's exactly how I felt when I decided not to go to church anymore. I was reading my Bible on my own. But at some point he said, just put that down for now and come and walk with me.
Yeah.
And I did. And I don't know, I'm not recommending this, but I haven't picked it up since.
Yeah.
And I know a lot. Like, I can recall parables and, verses, and I don't know everything. I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not boasting here. I'm just saying that I knew a lot. I knew my Bible, so well. Like, Old Testament, didn't know the Psalms that well, actually. They never got discussed.
Same with the Mormons. They don't talk about the Psalms.
Yeah.
Psalms are rich.
But the Psalms are everything, really.
Yeah.
And of course the Pauline epistles, and the Gospels and the parables and stuff. Yeah, so reading George MacDonald is a decentish replacement for the Bible. I mean, he does start with a verse in all of his sermons, and all of his theology is included. So I am seeing kind of like a bardic retelling of the theology that I know, or that I've seen in the scripture through George MacDonald, definitely. Yeah, and some other stuff. But I don't know. I really think that, I mean, I wrote a blog for myself years ago, and in there I said, I just wanted to step away. I need to distance. I need to encounter God for the very first time. Because I was so, I don't know. It was just, everything was just dry and ossified. And what more did I want? Like, I couldn't suck any life out of it. It was just words on a page.
Right. Yeah, right.
And I needed to get outside. Literally, I needed to get outside.
Yeah.
And encounter God.
Right.
Encounter him, I mean, I'd had encounters, don't get me wrong. But yeah, my answers weren't in the words on the page. My answers weren't there.
Right.
They were in my life experiences.
Yeah, I remember talking to my dad when he was my dad was an avid reader when I was young, constantly reading. And then when he was about, I don't know, 45 or so, he kind of just stopped reading. And I was, and it had been a few years since I'd ever seen him like picking up a book. And I just said, hey, what happened? How come you stopped reading? And he goes, I got tired of other people's words in my head. He's like, I just wanted to have my own thoughts.
Yeah.
And he said it took a while for it to calm down in there. But once it did, it's like, I don't need to hear other people's thoughts.
I wrote this poem, and this really describes actually what it was that was happening when I decided to do all that. It says, greens and blues, full color and hues, ripples and waves, feet move and sway. There it flies, with wings outstretched, tips fanned out, that's always the clue. Ripples and waves emanate out, the whole earth vibrates with them, touching my mind, my heart. Moss, lichen, old man's beard cling and live for centuries. Trees whisper and the wind passes right through me. A warm embrace from behind, unexpected, wraps around me. I lay into it, rest from the unrest. Somehow the air feels transformative, pure, foreign. This aloneness isn't alone. It sees me, it knows me. I need this. I need to breathe it into my eyes. I need to breathe. Once I knew fear. It's you that I long for, unafraid. And I would turn and turn and turn and turn in it until it turns into me. Yep.
Who wrote that?
Me.
Oh. Beautiful. That was beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's what I had to put the words down, Just had to put the words down. Enough with the words. And I mean, I'm not saying we can't talk about stuff. Like, this is me saying this. I'm here all the time.
Right. Right.
But I don't speak from a position of acquired knowledge. I speak from a place of experience. That's what I know.
Well, somebody was, Luke, now that you're back, I'll bring back the identity piece that you
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to jump off.
No, I get it. No, your IRL is much more important than live stream.
Yeah.
So,
especially with your wife.
Yeah. Stacey did a flat and then she was done, but it was nice having her in here for a little bit.
Yeah,
good.
Totally.
But what I was going to say is oh no, now I lost it.
Oh no.
Identity.
Right. You oh shoot. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But when I left, you were talking about the friend who was waiting for like kind of the same job, same pay.
Yeah, he over-identifies with his career.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's how it becomes an idol.
Yeah.
Is when you over-identify, and you can over-identify with your sins as well. You know, some places they celebrate that for a whole month, right? So anyway,
what are you talking about? What is I missed the joke?
Oh, I don't know if I want to be more.
Okay, never mind.
Slow it out. Sorry.
For those who have ears, let them hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
I don't have ears.
And it's not fair because I have my own sins that are my own idols. So I was poking fun, but I have my own ways of over-identifying. But I'm trying to get back to where I can't remember. I'm sorry.
But I think it's an interesting thought. Maybe this will trigger something in you, Jeremy. But it's where I feel like what you guys were kind of getting at was there's a necessity and identity and being situated in a time and place and in the context of ancestry. Yeah. But there's a way in which one can over-identify that becomes a block, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right. We talked about that after you left. Like I said, the thing for me that the way that I think about idolatry is it's the place of stopping short. It's like parking.
You
know? So you say, I'm a glutton.
No.
And you just park there.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you are a child of God, God's name is, I am becoming what I am becoming. So that means you are also a little becomer becoming, right?
Yeah.
So you short yourself if you park yourself. And that's what sin is to me, because it's missing the whole point. The whole point is to be open-handed, and grateful for whatever comes your way, because it's all part of your becoming.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was. Go ahead. Go.
No, you go.
No, I was just going to say. I did remember what I was going to say, and it was the fact that if you asked your grandparents what their identity was, they would have no idea what you meant.
Yeah.
They would be like, "What are you talking about?" Right. It's this new thing. But the other thing I was going to say, tied to what you were saying, Sherry, is my priest said this. He was like, if you see the icon of Christ, he's always got a blessing hand. He's always blessing you, right? Mm-hmm. And he said that means that everything that comes into your life is coming through that hand.
Yeah.
Everything is coming through that hand. It's been blessed for you into your life.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to learn to receive it that way and say thank you for all things. Glory to God for all things.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking to a friend this morning, and I have to check and see what it was I said, because I had darn it. Anyway, we were just talking about, I know, here it is. Where is that now? Sorry, guys. I really want to share this, so just hang on now. Okay, here. Why do you want to persecute yourself with the question of where all this is coming from and where it is going, since you know, after all, that you are in the midst of transition and you wished for nothing so much as change? That's a quote from Rainer Maria Rilke. And then I wrote, that last sentence has always struck me. Since you know, after all, that you are in the midst of transition and you wished for nothing so much as to change. Okay? I know that I've longed for change in my life, prayed for it, but when it comes, I'm completely unaware of it as the answer to my prayer. I strive against it in fear. I'm finally coming to realize it's the thing I have always wanted, but it's hard work. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that is how childlike we are, actually.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about how when I was a kid, I used to think, I can't wait to grow up and then I can just do whatever I want. And the first thing I realized when I grew up, I was holding the hand of a newborn baby. That was the day I had to grow up.
Mm.
And she looked at me and I couldn't look her in the eye because I knew that I was the only thing keeping her alive. That was, I knew from that moment on that I would be able to do anything I wanted.
Yeah.
Again.
Right.
That my life now was over and it was I lived for her.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a mourning period, and then after there's a relief.
Well, yeah, I mean, as a mother, I don't think you have a whole lot of time for mourning that unless you get into a depression. But it's like
some do. Yeah, some do. Yeah.
It's invigorating, and I can say for myself, at least, after it was hard that moment to realize like the severity. I was 20. I just turned 20 actually, and I was single. I was alone in the delivery room.
Yeah.
So it was like it really bore down on me because like there's nobody to share the burden with, right? Like it was just boom. But after that, it's the kind of joy, it's a kind of kenosis that you do with joy. It's my yoke is easy. That's when that verse came to my mind. I was like, oh, this is it. My yoke is easy and my burden is light.
Yes.
This is the lightness and the easiness of dying to yourself.
Yes.
Of course you would.
Because it's out of love. That's the difference.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean that I was perfect at it.
Of course.
Like I had moments where I was frustrated and slamming doors and had enough of a screaming baby, but I kept on,
Right.
You have to keep
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I am loving this conversation, but I am getting tired.
Me too.
Getting a little
We've been going almost 3 hours here.
Yeah, we've got a good one tonight along with. So, but no, it's been an absolute pleasure to have this conversation with you, share this evening with you. So with everybody here.
Yeah, it was really great. I don't know if anybody can see, but I wore my I have to show it off at least once. I wore my medieval dress.
Oh, right. Yeah.
for the kings tonight. We did Saint Edwin and Saint Oswald, 2 early Anglo-Saxon kings. So I thought I have this dress. I bought it at a medieval market or a medieval fair in Switzerland last summer, and I'm going to wear it to the farmers market. And I go with my spinning
wheel
and things.
I love it. You should do some yodeling while you're there. It'd be great. Bring out your prayer book and do the hours.
Yeah. So anyway, well, thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us, and I'll end the stream now.
Thanks a lot for hopping in, Luke.
Yeah.
Oh
Thank
yeah,
you.
of course. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless.
God
You
bless.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, what the heck?